Well, thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Abhay Vashist. I am a software developer, and I'm agreed to this interview, I guess. Uh,
So what got you into software development?
I think, well, I did engineering in school, and I always liked learning about how things are like working inside. So I was always curious about that. And I think with engineering, you get to like build stuff. So that led me to engineering. And then in engineering, I found out that you can build stuff without buying anything, which is computer science. And then so I got interested in software development at that point.
Do you have a favorite platform?
Do I have a favorite platform?
Like, I guess operating system, maybe like Mac,
Oh,
Windows, or Linux.
so I run Linux and Mac. So Unix, I guess.
Excellent. And a favorite language, like Python or Java?
Python.
Hmm. Um, well, I wanted to ask you a few questions about space travel and the moon and get your thoughts. I guess, first of all, did you know that NASA is planning to send astronauts back to the moon?
Yes.
Would you believe most of the people I talk to have no clue?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have any clue. I just have a friend, so who told me about it.
So what do you think about it? Us going back
Uh,
to the moon?
I think it's amazing. So I know this is so my friends, when I talk to them, they have shared this thing that shared this experience that they don't have a space race. They didn't have like the moment of like Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. So that's why Eros, like they didn't have a inspiration, I guess. And I think going to like space or just exploring is kind of like a inspiration on its own, because it's very pure. It's just pure achievement, right? There is no uh, there's no like politics or no biases against that. It's just a pure human achievement to venture outside and going to space. Something it's amazing.
Like kind of pushing the human experience further, type of
Exactly.
thing. Like
Exactly.
kind of like breaking the 4 minute mile or something like that.
Yep. Exactly. Or the 2 hour marathon.
Oh wow! Did somebody do that?
I believe so. I don't think it was officially recognized, but he did it. There's a lot of like technicalities with that race, because it was a special track. Nobody else was running on it. They had like a special team of like runners. So they run in a special pattern, so the wind doesn't affect them,
Oh,
which is fine. But what they had is, I think, the runners would keep switching in and out, so it wasn't the same runners running with the guy.
oh, I see. I see. So like his windbreak kept getting new, but
Yep.
like so it wasn't like he was like in a race and he was like the very first one. Just huffing and puffing. It was
Yeah.
kind of
It was done
interesting.
by Nike, and then I think they were promoting a shoe at that time, and the shoe is also considered illegal now by some people, so it was very controversial.
That is interesting. Well, in terms of this space travel, where do you think it's going to eventually get us? Do you think we're just going to always like only live on the Earth, making these little short trips to places, or do you think at some point people are actually living off the Earth, like having children and going to school and doing their normal activities?
I think we will do that. I think only if the Earth becomes unlivable for the amount of people. Like if there's like a mass extinction event that occurs, and then they're gonna have people that's gonna leave, right? But I think we will probably stick to short trips, because even if you think about, like, for example, North America, right? Majority of the population in the world is still in Asia, right? Or maybe soon it will be like Middle East, because of Africa grows in population. And Columbus sailed from 1492 or something, right? So you can imagine, like, we had I mean, there were people there before, but still, like, the new age people, new world people, or old world people came here, and we still have not balanced out the two continents, and we're still on Earth. So I don't know, I don't see it happening in the space the same way. Like I see like we may have bases and people may live because like how we do in the International Space Station for a little while, maybe in the next 50 years or maybe the next 30 years, and then maybe we'll have like a like again a space station in Mars, and then at that point we may have some point like a first pregnancy in space or something.
Um, but I mean, like, if you were to fast forward, say, 200 years, you think by that point it's still kind of no?
No, I think because at the like we have been on Earth for I think almost like 5 millennia now as humans, I believe. Maybe it's shorter, 3 millennia, but like we have only really affected the atmosphere in the last like 200, 300 years, right? We've had like very limited impact on the environment. So and then we are expecting to do that on another planet on a much grander scale with much fewer people. But we have technology on our side. So like maybe it's a leveling playing field, but I don't see it. I just I don't think it's the time. Like I think there needs to be some things just need enough time, and I don't think 200 years is just enough time for a planet.
Hmm. It's
Maybe
kind
for
of
the moon.
amazing, if you look back like 50 years, like computers, for example. Uh, I mean, 50 years ago, computers took up rooms, and to talk about everyone having one in their pocket would seem very unimaginable.
100%. That's very true. Uh, but I think there is like a molecular limit, right? So, for example, human trials are going to always take that same amount of time. You can't, you can't fast forward certain things, I feel. And I think nature is kind of one of those where, like, I don't know, there's actually like, so there's an arms race right now between like the AI team where they're trying to build like artificial neural networks. But then there's also the same side, from biologists' side where they're actually using like microorganisms to build neurons, right? Or biocomputers or something. And what they find is they're actually like with lower, like obviously like with like small, like 5, 6 neurons, they're able to perform equally as good. But they require like couple days of training because it's just the cycle, like the training iteration is just longer, but less iterations overall. So I would
Hmm.
say the same thing. It's I think like there's just enough that it takes 5 years for a plant to become a tree or something. So it's just always going to take that long unless we somehow modify them to like expedite their growth, which would be kind of cool. But
Yeah, no, no, that's true. It's true. It's just like, what was it, like 200 years we discovered magnetism? I mean, this idea that you could have like radio waves going through space, and, you would have no like perception of them, but they could carry like signals. And uh, I mean, like, nuclear energy is an example. And then, now we have like gravity waves that we're able to detect. Like, I mean, huge, gigantic things. But I just wonder, if as we explore like a completely different environment, and people are having to think in a different way, if there might be like some fundamental like structure about nature that just like changes everything.
yeah, or I mean, it could be like it could be a different kind of colonization of those planets. Like instead of us even ever modifying the environment, we modify ourselves. Like in the sense like we put ourselves in a computer and then the computer operates. So we're still living there. We're still like being exactly the same. It's just our consciousness gets transported, but our biological body stays here. So that could I think that's probably more likely in the next few hundred years than us, like I think, transforming a planet specifically.
And plus, then, we can travel at the speed of light, through electromagnetic waves, or and we have to physically transport ourselves. We can just put ourselves in standby
Yeah.
till we get there.
Yeah.
But no, that's an awesome point. Um, yeah. Oh, if you could, would you take a trip to space?
No.
No.
I'm very happy on Earth.
Yeah, but no, I mean like a short trip, like, maybe 2 or 3 days in orbit, get to experience free fall and weightlessness, and getting to see the Earth from above.
Uh, I, what I would say is I think there is a lot of beauty to be explored on Earth, right? And I think, um, I think that would definitely be like one of magical experience. But I would say that there's like so much to be seen here that first must get checked off before like I think about like venturing outside, like to another planet, or to space. But actually, I may not take a trip to space, but I would say I would take a trip to the uh the Zuckerberg, not Zuckerberg, the Amazon like flight right there, Bezos, like how he went to space where you just like zero gravity for a little bit, like 5 hours or something. I would maybe do that. That I think seems pretty cool, but I don't know about living in space.
Now from takeoff to landing, that trip is 15 minutes. So you're talking about 7 minutes of weightlessness, but just to kind of,
Yeah, oh yeah,
but yeah, that way you just, I mean, worst case, you just hold your breath, close your eyes, and boom, you're back on the ground.
exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned there's like all these places on Earth that you want to visit first. Do you have a list that you're working through, or you're just
Yeah.
talking about?
So
Oh,
there's no like list like or like, oh, this first and this, but there is some places that I have that I do want to visit, like for example Bali is one of them, and
mhm.
then Portugal, as well as Iceland, or like Netherlands, to see like the northern lights. So those are some.
Yeah, and I have a friend that I work with, and his family is like Portuguese.
Oh
And
wow.
the thing that I learned is Portugal actually has a lot of islands that are in the Atlantic that you wouldn't expect. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's like France.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Like France has a lot of islands too.
No, it's just when people say, oh, France like borders, if you actually like, the real people think it's just like Europe, but then like they also have like the water area that they control is like significantly bigger, because they have like French New Guinea, they have like colonies all around the world.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much all the questions I had for you. I like to tell people my target audience for these videos hasn't even been born yet. So can you imagine like a person looking at this video 50 years, 100 years from now, trying to make sense of what I think is going to be a transformational decade? Is there anything that you think would be good to share with them?
Uh, mm, uh, uh, Something that you share with them. I guess uh, I don't really have anything particular, but I might just say like definitely try a Pop Tart if they still have them, or something like that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. All right, well,